if Biden ends up running, potentially the Democrats could lose the Senate, the House, and the White House. And it's going to be a bloodbath.
So things are looking pretty bad for Joe Biden as of today. Where are we? It's 1 o'clock on the 10th day of July, and his support is crumbling. It started last night on CNN. Look at this delegate to the Democratic National Convention. Now, he's going to be one of the people assembling in Chicago, and they're going to have to vote on a ballot as to whether Joe Biden is going to be the nominee. Let's be clear here. He's not locked in as the nominee. Anything can happen at a convention. And he's one of the guys, this guy right here, who has to vote on whether they go forward with him, with Biden on the ballot. Watch.
Yes. So, essentially, if Biden ends up running, potentially the Democrats could lose the Senate, the House, and the White House. And it's going to be a bloodbath. The blue states that we have held for many decades might potentially turn red. Trump is doing well when he runs against Biden in those states. And then the swing states, the battleground states, they are looking terrible. So at this point, all the polling indicates that Trump is going to win. So we need to send the best and the brightest out there to run against Trump. He's beatable, but we need to send somebody who's got the energy of a commander-in-chief. Here in Silicon Valley, we have had great leaders, and companies thrive because of good leaders. At this point, it's debatable if Biden can lead our nation. Carrying the nuclear football is a huge deal, and we're not sure right now if Biden is going to be able to do his job. Yes,
that's going to leave a mark, and it can. And by the way, one common thread in all of these clips I'm about to show you of prominent Democrats seemingly crumbling in their support for Joe Biden, they all have one thing in common, these statements. They act like Joe Biden hasn't already come out for the last 12 days, every single day, and unequivocally said, I'm not going anywhere. It's a remarkable thing. They're acting like, well, if he continues. What do you mean if he continues? He said he's not going anywhere, dude. That I love also the ones you're about to see them where they say, well, we just have to give Joe Biden time to make up his mind. Whatever he decides, we'll do what he wants. He's decided already. But they keep acting like, yeah, maybe not. Here, also on CNN last night, Democrat senator stepping forward.
Dana Bash reported that you, Senator John Tester, and Senator Sherrod Brown all said during that lunch that you don't think President Biden can win in 2024. Is that true?
Well, it's true that I said that. And I did say that behind closed doors. And you guys and others asked whether I had said it. And that is what I said. So I figured I should come here and say it publicly.
Why do you think he can't win in November?
I just think this race is on a trajectory that is very worrisome if you care about the future of this country. Joe Biden was 9 points up at this time. The last time he was running, Hillary Clinton was 5 points up. This is the first time in more than 20 years that a Republican president has been up in this part of the campaign. Donald Trump is on track, I think, to win this election and maybe win it by a landslide and take with him the Senate and the House. So for me, this isn't a question about polling. It's not a question about politics. It's a moral question about the future of our country. And I think it's critically important for us to come to grips with what we face if together we put this country on the path of electing Donald Trump again.
So you're worried that your party is not just going to lose the White House if Joe Biden is at the top of the ticket, but that you're also going to lose both chambers of Congress?
I think that we could lose the whole thing. And it's staggering to me.
We could lose the whole thing, says Senator Bennett of Colorado. By the way, again, I point out, none of them are worried about the day-to-day functioning of our federal government and who's actually running things in the White House and who's making decisions while we're having a NATO summit, by the way, and while men and women in the military are engaged overseas and in harm's way. Nobody's raising that as an issue. No, the real question is, can he beat Donald Trump? And if he can't, he's got to go. Boy, they love putting the country first, don't they? Nah, not really. No, they don't. Anyway, this morning on Morning Joe, we had another prominent. Good God, you can't do that to me, Kevin. Give me a warning next time. What is that? Oh, that's Nancy Pelosi. Well, they brought out Nancy Pelosi to throw her support to Joe Biden. She has been unwavering in her support for Joe Biden. Now, I recognize she's not in leadership anymore. She's just one among 217 congressmen there for the Democrats, 216. So, you know, her voice is not more prominent than any other, except that it is. Except that actually she probably has more clout than anyone in that chamber, despite the fact that she's no longer the leader of the caucus. Here's what Nancy Pelosi had to say, throwing her support, her unwavering, unconditional, 1,000% in his corner support for Joe Biden. Take it away, Nan.
So, Madam Speaker, you just went through the president's record, but let me ask you about the current moment. Does he have your support to be the head of the Democratic ticket?
As long as the president it's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short. I think overwhelming support of the caucus. It's not for me to say. I'm not the head of the caucus anymore, but he's beloved. He is respected, and people want him to make that decision. Not me.
He has said he has made the decision. He has said firmly this week he is going to run. Do you want him to run?
I want him to do whatever he decides to do, and that's the way it is. Whatever he decides, we go with. I think it's really important, and I would hope everyone would join in to let him deal with this NATO conference. This is a very big deal. Over 30 heads of state are here. He is the host of it, and that means not just hosting, it means orchestrating the discussion and setting the agenda, and he's doing so magnificently. And I've said to everyone, let's just hold off. Whatever you're thinking, either tell somebody privately, but you don't have to put that out on the table until we see how we go this week.
Well, that didn't go well. If you're Joe Biden, you gotta be like, wait, Nancy, I thought you were gonna help me. Can we just break this down a little bit? Also, what's going on? Why is she showing bra strap? This is disturbing on many levels. Also, are we wearing the same shirt? Should I rethink wearing lilac? I thought this was a nice shade. She does look different, El Capitan Beefheart. I don't think it's a facelift. No, I think that somebody's doing her makeup differently. The eyes definitely look different. She could have had work done, I suppose. Yeah, that could be it. That could be it. All right. Enough of that, you people. See, this is the fun you have in the Rumble chat room there. All right, let's break this down, shall we? Because this is gold. This is so precious. This is quite possibly, of all the clips we played today, my favorite, and that's saying something.
So, Madam Speaker, you just went through the president's record, but let me ask you about the current moment. Does he have your support to be the head of the Democratic ticket?
As long as the president it's up to the president to decide if he is going to run.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It's up to the president to decide. Why do we have octogenarians running our country? I mean, I don't mean to be an ageist or anything, but could we get somebody born in the 60s or 70s? Just one person? Can we get one person who was born after we landed on the moon to be in some position of power anywhere? Is anyone else terrified? It's up to the president to decide. And by the way, the question was so simple. Do you have his support? Only if the president decides that he wants to be there. That's not the question.
We're all encouraging him to make that decision.
He's already made the decision. Again, I want to reiterate, every single day for the last 12 days since the debate, Joe Biden has come out and said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm the nominee. No one. You want to challenge me? Come and challenge me at the convention. Well, Madam Speaker, do you agree with that? Well, I just want the president to go through the decision-making process, and whatever he decides, he's already decided. What are we talking about here?
Because time is running short. I think overwhelming support of the caucus. It's not for me to say. I'm not the head of the caucus anymore. But he's beloved. He is respected, and people want him to make that decision.
By the way, as much of a disaster as she is right now, I think it's important to point out she's older than Joe Biden, by the way, that she's still got it more together than Joe does. I mean, she is a disaster, don't get me wrong, and she can't speak, and she's having trouble following a train of thought, and she doesn't know what time it is or what day it is, for that matter. Still more with it than the president of the United States and the commander-in-chief. It's always an important contrast when you see other people who are of his generation who can actually, make a sentence and walk a straight line. But she's still a disaster, don't get me wrong.
He has said he has made the decision. He has said firmly this week he is going to run. Do you want him to run?
I want him to do whatever he decides to do.
He's already decided. He just said he already decided. Now, she's not stupid. So what is she really doing here? All right, so I'm gonna do a little dialogue here. I'm gonna play both parts. I'm gonna play Nancy Pelosi, and I'm gonna play Joe Biden. She goes to visit the president at the Oval Office. They're having a frank conversation. Mr. President, whatever you decide in terms of whether you're going to run and stay on the ticket for the presidency, I just want you to know that I am going to support you 100%. Well, Nancy, I've already decided, and I'm going to stay. I'm going to run. I'm on the ticket. I'm the guy. Okay, so whatever you decide, I'm going to support you. But I'm giving you room to make your decision. And I know whatever decision you make is going to be the right decision. Well, thank you for that. I have made my decision, and I'm staying. I'm on the ticket. I appreciate your support. Take as much time as you want. Go ahead and don't rush into this or anything. Take your time. I mean, we are going to have to, pull the trigger one way or the other. We're coming up on the convention. But I just want you to know that your decision, when you make it, it'll be the right one. I know it is. I know it's going to be the right decision, and I'll support you. But just go ahead and take however much time you need. You've got to the end of the week. Go ahead and make it. No. Really, I've made my decision. No. Keep thinking. Keep thinking. I think that's what she's doing here. I think that's what she's doing. And by the way, she knows that Joe Biden watches this show. I think what she's doing here is, the decision he's made, the decision he says that he's made, that ain't going to fly. I'm going to support his decision as soon as he makes the decision that we all want him to make, which is to gracefully get off the stage. I think that's what you're seeing here.
And that's the way it is. Whatever he decides, we go with. I think it's really important, and I would hope everyone would join in, to let him deal with this NATO conference. This is a very big deal. Over 30 heads of state are here. He is the host of it, and that means not just hosting, it means orchestrating.
You realize she's saying that he can't possibly deal with two things at once. He's hosting a NATO summit. Could you please? It's taking every ounce of his mental energy, whatever's left, to do that. Could you please lay off this other question, at least until the end of the week when the NATO summit's over? That's what she's saying. By the way, I do want to...
The discussion and setting the agenda, and he's doing so magnificently. And
I want you to look at this, and I'm going to play it real fast without the sound. Here's Joe Biden right here. See him? I want you to keep an eye on everybody else in this clip of the world leaders. They're all What are they doing? What's the word for it? Oh, they're moving. They're moving and they're breathing. Now, is that really Joe Biden, or is that a wax figure of Joe Biden that they're all posing around? Did you notice? He's doing the rigid thing again. Look at him. It's a cardboard cutout. It's a mannequin. And we're supposed to feel better. We're all supposed to feel better. Anyway, Nancy says one more thing noteworthy.
Thinking, either tell somebody privately, but you don't have to put that out on. Hold off. Whatever you're thinking, either tell somebody privately, but you don't have to put that out on the table until we see how we go this week.
Yeah. So that message was for other Democrats, where she was saying, you know, whatever your opinion is, whatever you're saying, keep it private. Shut up. Keep it under wraps until after the NATO summit. Because, well, what's happening here is that Nancy Pelosi is concerned that the president of the United States, the commander in chief, and our head of state is going to look diminished, weakened, and compromised if all of this discussion about whether he's going to step down is occurring while he's hosting this NATO summit. And that's actually, frankly, a valid concern that she has. That's why he shouldn't be president right now anyway, because he is weakened, he is feeble, he is compromised. And we deserve something better when we're conducting world affairs. All right. One other quick item here. This is Democrat Senator Blumenthal of Connecticut.
I am deeply concerned about Joe Biden winning this November because it is an existential threat to the country if Donald Trump wins. So I think that we have to reach a conclusion as soon as possible. And I think Joe Biden, as the Democratic nominee, has my support.
Brian, give me a reaction. And how are they going to ultimately reach that conclusion he discusses?
Now, what's remarkable about what Senator Blumenthal had to say there is that he supports Joe Biden. He's never wavered. He's been someone who, right after the debate, even said that he was still believing that he should be the nominee. So the idea that in the same breath that he says he supports Joe Biden as the nominee, that he also says he has real concerns that Donald Trump could win in the fall, it shows this kind of murky position that congressional Democrats are leaving the president in, and why there is this necessity, as he rightly points out, for them to figure something out and do it sooner rather than later. You know, Anna, it really sometimes feels as though they're trying to send the president a subtle message that he is just not getting. In order for this dam to break, you get the sense that they're going to have to stop being subtle and just come right out and say what they're actually thinking, not trying to allow the president to read between the lines.
Thank you. That's exactly what's happening here. It's exact. What is this? We have to reach a conclusion soon. He's already reached it. Nobody else gets to decide this, unless they have a bloodless coup at the convention or sooner than that. What's motivating all of this? Real fast. Cook Political Report. The Cook Political Report is something that's really, really respected by Democrats on the left. Brand new national polling. Trump now has a 3-point lead nationally in the Cook Political Report. You need to understand that even when Donald Trump won in 2016, he never led in any of the national polls. He had a state-by-state strategy, which is how you actually win the presidency. Even when the last time a Republican won the presidency with the national popular vote as well was in 2004. George W. Bush. And before that, it was his dad in 1988. 2000, George W. Bush didn't win with the popular vote. You'll remember Al Gore did. Democrats always win the national poll, even when they lose the presidency. Trump's now winning by 3 points over Joe Biden. It's beyond panic time for Democrats. Also, the Cook Political Report, Arizona is no longer a toss-up. It's a lean Republican. Georgia is no longer a toss-up. It's a lean Republican. Minnesota has moved from likely Democrat to lean Democrat. The Nebraska 2nd has moved from likely Democrat to lean Democrat. New Hampshire has moved from likely Democrat to lean Democrat. And Nevada has moved from toss-up to lean Republican. There are 3 states in play right now. As far as Joe Biden is concerned, this entire election boils down to 3 states: Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. If the election were held today, based on the polls in those states and every other state, the Electoral College map the evening of the election would look like this. All 3 of those states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, would go to Donald Trump. It would mean a final count of 312 electoral votes to 226. All you need is 270 to win the presidency. Joe Biden can't afford to lose any of those 3 states. Right now, he is losing all 3 of them, some of them by a hefty margin. You add to the fact that Nevada has now moved over to the Republican column, and Georgia is there locked in, as well as is Arizona. And now, based on these other leans, they've got Minnesota. He's going to have to fight on Minnesota. He's going to have to fight in Virginia. He's going to have to fight in New Hampshire. If you're a politician trying to win the presidency, you're trying to make your guy defend states that they haven't had to defend before. Virginia hasn't been in place since 2004. Now, 20 years later, they've got to fight for Virginia. This is why you're seeing Blumenthal and Pelosi and Bennett and these other Democrats stepping out and saying, yeah, we're going to respect whatever the president decides, even though the president's already decided. He's losing his support. And I think that the one key thing that Nancy Pelosi said here that you can take to the bank is that as long as the summit's going on in D.C., they're going to try as best as they can to tamp this down. But as soon as all of those carbon spewing jets fly back to Europe, it's going to be, what's the word? Bloodbath. That's what it's going to be. I'll stick with my prediction that I gave you earlier in the week. As of Friday or Saturday, Donald Trump is probably going to announce his running mate that will launch them into Wisconsin, into Milwaukee for their big convention. It's going to be a 10-day blitz of Republican Trump running mate news cycle that will be very positive and very upbeat and very good for the Republican ticket. If I'm a Democrat, if I'm Joe Biden, it is at that time during that news cycle that I try to disrupt things by giving the media something else to talk about. And that something else will be Joe Biden's decision that I think has already been made.